What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Oscar's Cozy Corner, your coziest corner of the internet for all things Disney Dreamlight Valley and beyond. Today, I have another decor video for you. If you can't believe it, I've been in the mood for decorating, and this time we're going to be doing an interior build. So this is actually inside Flo's V8 Cafe with all of the new items that came with the Retro Road Trip Star Path. I was feeling pretty inspired, so I thought that I would take you on a little build journey today inside this house. It's nothing too complicated. It makes use of the new ceiling texture and a bunch of the new items that we got with that star path. But overall, it's a pretty easy build. It's going to be in real time. Follow along with me if you like. And if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel, and we have ourselves a deal. But with that being said, let's just jump straight into the build and start from scratch. All right, so here we go. We have a blank room. This is a clean slate. I have adjusted the size slightly. So if you come into this elevator here, you can adjust the size of this room. I just made it a little bit narrower, so it was a little bit more deep rather than wide. Now, a lot of the diners that I've seen and a lot of the diner reference photos that I used do tend to be quite long and thin, and they tend to have booths on one side and some sort of bar or serving area on the other. So that's what we're going to go with today. The very first thing that I want to do is change the floor. So we're going to come on over to the floor section. I know exactly which one I want to use because I am going with kind of like a teal and pink / purple aspect for this diner. I'm not going to use any of the red furniture that we got with the Retro Road Trip Star Path, but I saw this floor when I was looking through the list and I thought, yeah, that matches the teal and the booths and the tables perfectly from, I think they're the bonus rewards, so we are doing that today. Then I'm going to go into the wallpaper tab, not the art tab, and I'm going to grab the latest one that we did get with the Star Path, which is the V8 Cafe wallpaper, because it does have that blue tone, that darker blue tone, and it also has the kind of like pink aspect that we want to bring in. I did toy with this Cheshire Cat wallpaper, bringing a bit more vibrancy in, perhaps behind the bar or next to the booths, but I do think that this is a little bit too loud for this space, so I think that this wall tile works best for what we're going for. And then I'm also going to go into the new ceiling texture tab, which gives us the flooring. So it doesn't give us the wallpaper, but it gives us the flooring available to use on the ceiling. And I'm going to go ahead and use exactly the same one. I just think it brings the roof down. It makes it feel a little bit more cozy and it ties it all together, which is pretty much what I'm after. And then off video, I did make in my spare time some of my own doors. They're really easy with Touch of Magic. They weren't complicated whatsoever. I simply made basically a checkerboard pattern in a dark teal color with white, and then I just made the frame metal. Really easy to do. I just thought it helped, I don't know, lean into that like Gulfstream aesthetic. You can see it works much better than the wooden doors that we have right now. So I did make 3 of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace those doors right now. But you can, of course, use whatever doors you want. I just thought, you know what? They look super diner to me. They look very diner-esque. Perfect. Now you'll see that I don't have any sort of mood board down like I usually do for my outdoor builds. Instead, what I've done is I've gone through and favorited a bunch of items that I either want to use or know that I'm definitely going to use. And the first of those items is, of course, these retro blue diner benches. Now, when I resized the room, I think it's 8 by 12. This just worked out perfectly. They fit pretty much exactly next to the space where you come into the house. So my idea originally was, which I'm not covering in this video, was to do 3 areas. I was going to do kind of like a courtyard, a kitchen, and I have actually done this one. So I have done a little toilet. But for now, we're just going to focus on this main diner space. So I'm going to bring in those tables to match. You can see that they are a pretty great match for the floor. And of course, they match the benches really nicely. And we are actually inside Flo's V8 Cafe. So very fitting to use the table that does have the V8 logo on it. I was thinking of having 2 booths. So we're going to do one there and then one next to it. I didn't want this diner to be absolutely huge. I wanted it to feel nice and cozy. I wanted there to be kind of like a waitress with a pot of coffee, bringing that over. Very much fitting the style of what we're going for. Underneath those tables, I thought to bring in a little bit of the pink, we could use the pink sweet tooth rug. Now that does sit nicely on the grid underneath there. That would probably be filthy if it was in real life, but never mind. It brings in the color of the wall tile and ties it all together, which is all that I'm focused on. And then on the wall, I was thinking of using these new headquarters alcove lights. I don't know, I just thought like we could lean into a smidgen of retrofuturism. I feel like that's always kind of apparent in those old retro diners. It's kind of like a vision of what they thought the future would be like. And you could kind of put condiments in there maybe to keep them off the table. They're backlit, but just adds a bit of dimension, a bit of interest, and a bit of color to those booths. And above the booths, I'm going to place the headquarters ceiling fan, which we got with this update. Once again, purely because it ties in with the color scheme. It let me use some of the new items that we got from the Inside Out update, and I just think they look really cool. They remind me of Austin Powers, and I like them. And usually where you find these diners, it's typically very hot, so I think they fit in quite well. Between the actual booths, I thought that it could be pretty cool to lean into that retro style with these plant shelves from the Wall-E universe. So I thought if I placed one right there and then one right behind this booth, it just breaks it up a little bit, makes it feel a little bit more self-contained, which is always nice with booths. You always like a little bit of privacy. And I'm going to move these doors just into the corner. So I think that's looking pretty good already, if you ask me. I'm going to fill out some of the wall space right now over here. Now, I did favorite a bunch of wall items. I've got some mini Mickey photos. I've got some bigger Mickey photos. But I always feel with diners and with anything of this sort of era, they just really love to fill the walls up with like maximalist items. If there's a space on the wall, there's going to be something on it filled. So I'm just going to use a bunch of different things to flesh out this space. I've got this Mickey Mouse mirror that we're going to place maybe about there. I've also got a Vanellope poster somewhere just here. Vanellope portraits, they work pretty nicely. If I move this Mickey mirror over, I can just move that one tile away from the wall to give it a little bit of breathing room. We do also have some neon signs. I believe that at least one of these was from the bundle that we got for New Year, although I think this abstract neon one might have been a Scrooge item. This is really handy. This is very Saved by the Bell. I love this item. Let's pop that in sort of like that. Maybe we could even bring that over and down. That's looking good. And then I might just bring this little Mickey over here. I don't think we have enough variation in wall items for me to go completely independent or individualistic for every single one. So we are just going to place down some repeats, but I think as long as they fit the vibe, that is all that matters. This is the Monsters Inc. Scarers poster set. Now I do have a mini Mickey. That's fun to say. A mini Mickey. We can place him maybe there next to that set. That looks good to me. And then maybe we could fit in another one of these. Maybe another one of these neon signs. Just tucked behind there slightly. And I think this is already looking pretty cool. if you ask me. I think that looks good. Those booths already feel like they belong in a 1950s diner. Excellent. Let's move on to another section. So as I said at the top of the video, in most of the reference pictures that I saw, the majority of diners had kind of the booths on one side and the kitchen or bar aspect on the other. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'm going to have this set up so the bar runs down this right hand side, and I'm using the blue kitchen counters to kind of like match that up to the wall. I think it's really nice to have a color story and to tie those elements in. So I did favorite some of those blue counters, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to break it up a little bit and not have exactly the same counter. So we'll have some drawers and then some cupboards, and we're just going to bring that down a few until we see what feels quite right. Maybe about there, and then I put the corner on. Feel like that could work. We may bump that back slightly, but for now I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna bring in, I'm gonna replace that one for the drawers, and I'm gonna let the drawers sit on that side as well. That works for me. We might need to bring all of those back one, actually, because what I do want to fit in is this pink refrigerator. Now tell me this doesn't feel Pastel diner appropriate, this pink deluxe fridge, but it does mean we have to move all of those back. Just one. I do wish there was some way for me to select an area of a room, just select those items and move them all together. But that creates our kind of bar, which I think looks pretty cool. For now, we will imagine that there is another way for the workers to get to work rather than hopping over the bar. Maybe this opens up or something along those lines, or maybe there's another way in through the back. But I think that looks pretty good. The color is a nice match. I like how that has turned out. And I also have favorited this kitchen work table. I actually feel this is relatively new. I think, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. And above that, I'm going to place these restaurant shelves, which I also think are relatively new. I do kind of wish that they came in white or maybe a silver, but that's okay. We persevere with what we've got. And I do have this little cheese grater, which I thought, you know what, let's throw that on as well as like the stacked bowls just to fill it out a smidgen. But I just thought white or metal would have been a little bit of a better match. However, these diners are often usually very utilitarian. They don't often even have flowers in them. So I think the colder, the better. The colder and more functional, the better for these items. Now, I believe somewhere in my favorites, I do have pans. So we do have a pan hanger. The gold doesn't really match, but we're going to ignore that for the time being. And then I've also got these glass shelves favorited. So I thought we could just maybe drop those in. I'm unsure whether to put those against the wall or not. I think maybe one away from the wall because they are hanging. They are meant to be hanging. Or maybe two. And then for the lighting, I thought we could have some nice pendants over this bar area with some abstract chandeliers that could fit in place just like that. We might need to tweak that setup just for the spacing so they match, but I think that looks pretty good. One, maybe in the middle. No, I feel like what we had was better. Yeah, that works. That works for me. Maybe I'll rotate them just so they don't completely match as a pattern when you're looking down at them. But otherwise, I'm very happy with that. And I've also got these little herbs favorited, mostly because they're blue and pink. So they felt like a perfect match for this kind of pastel diner aesthetic that we were going for. And other than that, this section, we just need to put in some stools, because what is a bar without a bunch of stools for people to sit at? So I'm going to place one of these against the bar, but maybe one away from the wall. And then I'm going to rotate it a couple of times. And I'm going to do a gap. And then I'm just going to match that gap all the way up. And if we need to adjust the spacing towards the end, we will. But actually, that looks like a pretty good match and pretty good spacing to me. It looks like we've got the same gap on both ends. So I just like to rotate those so it doesn't feel super samey when you're looking at it. Again, the gold would be nicer if they were white or silver, but it's got teal on it, it's got pink on it. We are leaning into that. And then for the countertops, I felt like this Daisy's register was perfect. It's literally pink. Goes beautifully with the fridge. And then I did want this Café display case from the Dapper Delight Star Path. Just kind of like on the corner, so people could take a look at all the goodies when they come in, and it helps that the donuts are pink. So again, they match the color scheme, which is a win for me. If you don't have access to that Star Path, you could use pretty much anything else. You could even use some home-cooked meals if you would like. And then with the Orchard Moonstone pack, I did get this really pretty vase with this, I think it's lavender. It is lavender inside of it. Again, it's just teal and pink, which is why I've used it. But you could really put anything in its place just there. And I think for our bar bit, that's pretty much it other than the walls. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab some of these similar items. Again, I just thought these wall shelves, these wall recesses, I just think they look pretty cool. So I want to use them. Stuff could be stored in them. Who knows what? It could be anything. I definitely have some other artwork favorited. There's this monster pop art up here. Again, has some teal elements from Sully. Got an abstract neon sign that we could drop in. Maybe we could place this Mickey Mouse mirror back in here somewhere. I'm going to bring that across to there and that one across. Maybe I'll bring the pans down. Actually, I'm going to bring those... I think I might bring those shelves down one as well. Maybe we'll just move those plates there for now. And then I can bring that down. Just so it's kind of like that. I know this doesn't mean anything, but like that. And then I think somewhere... Actually, if I raise that back up, I've even got a little clock favorited, which could be nice. So the workers can see when they get off shift. Feeling like the end is coming for them. Yeah. That's looking good. Happy with that. Excellent. I'm going to move these pans up one, and then these can stay where they are. And I might even just reuse this over here for now, behind there. Doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to tell us off. And I might move the door over to be right underneath those herbs. I like how that has come together. And I thought somewhere, I believe that these are Toy Story, but they're these playroom drawings. Now that kind of matched the fridge, which I thought was cute. And I thought, I don't know, maybe the worker brought in something from home. Again, it has that teal aspect to it, so it fits the color scheme. And that's what I've really done with this. I've just gone with items that may not necessarily go together in terms of universe, but if they fit the color scheme, you're involved. You don't get a choice. And then I'm going to place one of these other neon symbols just over here, kind of like on the edge. Maybe right above the bar like that. And I've just realized I don't actually have one of these over here, so maybe we could sacrifice that Mickey for this one. That looks nice. I like that. And then maybe we could drop that one in there like that. And I don't know. Could we sneak a mini Mickey in somewhere into that space. I'm just looking at that. Yeah, there. As long as the walls feel full, I'm happy with having those repeats. So I think we're about done for this section. Let's move on to the next. So this section over here in the corner is kind of a blank canvas, and I didn't really know what to put here, but then I did have an idea, and I thought, what could I see in a diner like this? And I thought, maybe a car or a vehicle. I mean, I feel like they used to love putting big showstopper pieces inside. So I thought, what would match? And down in this list, I do have Vanellope's car, her Sugar Rush Racer. Again, it matches the colors. I feel like the vibe kind of fits. I know that this is not like a Candyland, but I do think that it's kind of in keeping with what we're after. So I thought this would be a great photo opportunity for people coming in. They could even charge for pictures. That's very Americana. So I'm going to place that down there, and then underneath it, instead of using the pink sweet tooth rug, I'm just going to use 2 comfy rugs. They've still got that pink tone, and it helps the tires not destroy the floor, I suppose, if we're thinking practically. And then on top of that, I had to make use of my new inauguration ribbon that I got from Scrooge's on update day, just to rope this area off and say no entry for anybody unless you pay. But I think just as an entrance, that looks pretty cool. You've got the booths on the left, and then you've got this nice little photo feature on the right. And we could also put in the retro road trip luggage that we got with this star path. Now, it does clip into the fridge if we rotate it like that. I don't mind too much. I'm wondering if I might just place it that way. I don't think I can get the car any closer to the wall, but I think I'll just have it clip into the wall slightly. It's not a big deal, and I think it fits the vibe, and it definitely fits like this car aesthetic. So that's pretty much it for this side. I know this is a really quick build, but I did say it was going to be pretty easy. Again, those wall shelves, just bringing in some of that kind of like, I don't remember what it's called. I feel like there's a specific name for this kind of lighting. You find it on like makeup mirrors and stuff like that. I do feel like there's a name for it, but I think it just adds a nice touch because the wallpaper even goes into the back of those recesses, which I really, really like. So I'm going to place that in there as well for a bit of backlighting. And then I do have a nice fancy star-shaped neon decoration that we are going to drop in right behind the car. So when the lights come on, that looks pretty funky. It looks pretty cool. I'm going to bring it over just one so it's centered in the wall just there. And then we're just going to go ahead and grab some more of those wall pieces. So I'm going to grab the Vanellope one and place it just at the top here because that is very fitting. I want one of these neon signs to go with the vibe. This Mickey neon sign to go with the vibe. Move that maybe there and there. Or I might even bring Mickey over. Pop that sign up there. And then bring that one a bit lower. And then we can drop Mickey just in that space. Cute. That looks good. And then maybe we'll just bring little Mickey, mini Mickey, if you will, over that side at the top. And I wonder if we could fit this mirror. We can't because of the size of those stars. But if I bring them down, could we? We can. There we go. So this looks like the star area. If you remember old UK Top Gear, it could be a star in a reasonably priced car, but that is very niche. So I apologize for bringing that up. And then I think I might just, maybe I'll just pop that back over there. I don't mind having multiple of them. Absolutely fine with me. I'm going to come out and I'm going to save just because I am having a bug where things do tend to disappear. But I suppose maybe I could even bring in one of these monsters posters. I could drop that there instead of having instead of having Mickey, just to bring that color scheme over to this side. That works. And then maybe I could fit one more of these drawings. I'm just looking at that mini Mickey. It feels too small. Oh, that's okay. That works. Actually, should we just get rid of him? Yeah. No. We'll go back to what we had. I'm just going to bring him down one. There we go. That works. I'm just looking at this little gap here. I didn't want anything to be here, really, because I could have bought another one of these and duplicated that and put that here, but I don't want it to be in the way of the fridge. But then I do also have this anti-anxiety coffee table that I might place down that fits the colors of what I'm after. And even though it's a coffee table, it kind of looks like a stool, so maybe it could just be a little rest stool for the worker to sit on if business is a little bit quiet in the diner. But this is all starting to really come together now, so let's move on to the final part. All that's left now in terms of zoning is this back corner. Now, I was really kind of unsure of what to do with this space, but I think if we just have maybe a small two-seater table here, I was thinking a jukebox and possibly even a disco ball. So let's just get straight into that. I'm going to bring in the blue version of the retro chairs that we had from this retro road trip Star Path. And instead of the big table like this, because that's not going to work with those little chairs, I am going to go ahead and bring in this starfish side table. Now, does it match? No. Is it kitsch? Yes. But the color is a perfect match. So as we've been saying the entire time, if the color matches, it's going in. So I'm going to move that back there, and then I'm going to have another version of this chair just on this side, just so it's a nice little like two-seater area. You could either sit here if there's just two of you, or maybe you're collecting a pickup meal, something along those lines. We also have the jukebox somewhere in my saved list, the Good Memories jukebox. Now, for some reason, I don't actually know why, this has a full tile on the back of it, so you can't get it pressed up against the wall. Not entirely sure why. Doesn't seem to make much sense to me, but the colors work. If anything, the colors are slightly more mismatched than everything else, but it's got enough purple and pink in it for me to be happy. It does also play some music, I believe, a little jingle, something along those lines. And I do have a party disco ball here from the New Year's Eve set that came to the premium shop. Looking at this, I've just realized what else I missed. This Manta Ray mobile. Now, again, a little bit random, I understand, but the colors work. I feel like they would have this in a diner. It's just something that they could have hanging from the ceiling. Doesn't have to fit. Doesn't have to look great. Just has to be a little bit on the kitsch side. What is annoying about these alcoves is that they cause the wall to stay when you change camera view. So that's why you're seeing these big pieces of wallpaper, because you can see here that they trigger something to push out the back. But I think it just looks pretty cool. And when I saw it, and I was like, yeah, I could see them having something like that hanging over a sports car in a diner. It definitely fits the vibe. But coming back over here, we've got our disco ball down. Now, this does look pretty cool when you have a dark room, because you can see all of the lighting coming out of it. Doesn't work so well in a light room, but it may look a little bit better at night, because we do not have any windows in this space purposefully. And then also in this list, I did unlock this with either joy or sadness. It's kind of like a lava lamp, which I know is a little bit more 70s, but it goes with the vibe. So we're having that in the diner as well. This is a very futuristic diner, retro futuristic, if you will. So I'm happy with that. And that's actually all I want to put on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go through this list and see if there's any more wall items that I missed off. I did have this quite funky clock from the Alice update. We do have that. I've got this neon sign, which I'm going to place above the door. Move that up slightly. wonder if we could even bring the herbs in. Or they feel a little bit out of place, actually, over here. I feel like they should just be above the kitchen door. But I am going to try and fit in these scarer posters if I can. We may need to move this up. But then hopefully we can fit those in just there. A perfect match. We've got another Mickey that we could use somewhere, perhaps over in this corner. Have to bring in those little photos of Mickey somewhere. Let's use the bigger version. But I can't access it because of the manta, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab it from here. He can go in just there. Maybe even maybe a playroom drawer? No, I don't want anything behind that tube. Actually, I don't think he looks that great there, so I'm going to move that across. I'm going to move that across. Like that. And then and then I can bring that playroom drawing back in up the top. And then I can put mini Mickey over there, just like that. And then I can bring the monsters poster back over to this section. Maybe this neon light just up here. Drop that Mickey down slightly. Bring in the mini one again just above the door. That playroom drawing doesn't feel like it goes, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to accept again, perhaps the... Where is it? Am I out? Maybe another playroom drawing just there, because it's behind the shelf anyway, so you can't really tell. And I might even bring another little Mickey in just like that. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. There's only a couple of tiny little finishing touches. I do want to put some of these neon lamps on the table. I think they look pretty cool. Maybe we could have... I was going to say maybe we could have one on the bar, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. I can see that the grater's kind of going through the shelf a little bit, but... Should we move it up? Just like that. Yeah, we can do that. And I think, other than some food and drink on the tables, we're pretty much done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then you'll be able to see some lovely cinematic footage of this space. But I hope that you enjoyed it. Alright gang, that just about wraps up this video and this build. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope that you like how it turned out. I love it. I don't really do interior builds all that often, but there was just something about these items that were calling me and I was like, I need to do a diner. It's on the cards. As I said at the beginning, if you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for all things Disney Dreamlight Valley, and I will leave it there for today. Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this build, if you'd like to see more indoor builds. I'm always open to your suggestions. But for now, I will catch you in the next one, and I will, of course, see you in the valley.